Welcome back to Game 2 of Cloud9 versus FlyQuest. FlyQuest started this series off doing some pretty spectacular stuff from the very beginning of the game, getting a first blood onto Blaber in his own jungle at the chicken camp. Of all places, they managed to get that first blood. They killed him again at level 2. They were taking over the game from start to finish against Cloud9.
Let that be a lesson to you, Captain Flower. Sometimes you need to let the bird leave the nest. You gotta let your chickens be stolen. Do not die over your chickens level 1. It's not worth it because the follow-up invade is even more punishing. You know, FlyQuest just were relentless in that game. Santorin absolutely destroying Blaber through it, and with a lot of team focus from FlyQuest on controlling jungle, they really did put a stop to what has been Cloud9's most successful strategies. Here coming out, multiple jungle bans now being drawn by Santorin from Cloud9 here. They still keep their blue side Caitlyn ban though, which is perplexing because I know Zven can play it.
Yeah, they're continuing to ban the Caitlyn. The Ashe is still free, and they're still locking in the Ezreal first pick. So, honestly, still fully expect FlyQuest to go with an Ashe response into that Ezreal here. Looks like that's what they're going to do. Other thing I want to point out, I don't think Cloud9 was prepared to play against the Lilia here, because they have now made that their first ban of the draft against Santorin, which is telling me, hey, we weren't prepped for this. We absolutely don't want to deal with it again. Just get it out of there. First ban of the whole draft. Cloud9 removes that one from the pool.
Yeah, and it's because FlyQuest has just shown a better affinity for the new champions, for adapting to some of the changes in the game. This win in game number 1 is just even more astonishing because they were the ones pushing the pace on Cloud9. Cloud9 picked some very scaling focused options, and once again they're doing it. Okay, it feels like a bit of a salty run back here for Cloud9. Even though the champions are not going to be exactly the same, they are still running back the Ezreal Yuumi bottom lane, giving up the Ashe Thresh to FlyQuest, which, as we saw before, also opened up IgNar for a lot more roam timings, with Yuumi being attached to Ezreal, and Vulcan actually not even getting his support item transformation until 20 minutes in the last game. Plus now they've locked in Gangplank from the top side to still add some support, you know, with the global that he does have. But on the other side here, Santorin locks in his Volibear that he has a ton of games on.
Yeah, the Gangplank was banned away in the previous game. Remember that in game number 1, it was Twisted Fate locked in third. That means the second round of the bans were able to come in before the top laner for Cloud9 got picked. It was Gangplank and Jace banned away to target Licorice there in that top side on those carry-type champions. Cloud9 preventing that this time around with the Gangplank locked in early. FlyQuest switching over to Volibear because Lilia's out of the picture. And now let's see how we want to go through this second part of the bans here. FlyQuest with their own jungler picked up. They're going to ban the Trundle away. They don't want Blaber being able to sap those tank stats away from Volibear and make him that much squishier when he jumps in. Very understandable. And Cloud9 will ban out that Orianna of PowerOfEvil as FlyQuest says, okay, we see that you picked up one of the global ultis that we banned away from you last time, so we're just going to ban the one that you had last time. And Twisted Fate is removed.
Yeah, interesting to see what kind of adaptations Cloud9's going to use this time around to actually adapt to FlyQuest, because they're showing very similar things. Exact same bottom lane. Santorin's most played champion is Volibear, and Cloud9 are, you know, banning out the tried and true champions that PowerOfEvil has used against them in the past, still leaving up the Azir for the possible final counter pick here. FlyQuest, I would think they would save final counter pick for PowerOfEvil and just early pick tank on the top side again for solo. No reason to go away from the Shen. I will say that Gangplank is much more punishing though. You know, the armor penetration that you have on barrels works really well versus Shen. You can use your orange to get out of any sort of taunts or gank setup that the Shen tries to push on you. So you definitely can withstand a lot more, and you do have the global as well.
Ooh, the Akali.
Might get
We're
interesting.
gonna see this locked in here. Okay, Akali picked up for Cloud9. It's not global, but it is one of those mid lane assassins that likes to roam around, pick up kills in other places around the map. And with Lee Sin being hovered too, Blaber on a playmaker like Lee is exactly what Cloud9 fans would like to see here, and that's locked in too.
It's interesting because I still feel like this first part of the draft where Cloud9 are just focused on banning out the Caitlyn and first picking the Ezreal and doing Ezreal Yuumi bottom side, which doesn't give you priority on that side of the map, but then pairing that with a jungle, Lee Sin and assassin mid lane that they're gonna want to try and make plays with Gangplank ultimate, trying to do that blind and with a bottom lane that doesn't have priority seems a little bit weird. We'll see if FlyQuest can have the same sort of opening to a game though, because that obviously has a huge domino effect on the game. When you get off a good level 1 invade, you get more information for your team, tracking the enemy jungler from early on. That's why Cloud9 really feel it seems like it was mostly misplay in the first game, and they're running it back here in a little bit of a similar way.
Especially against another one of these compositions from Cloud9 that has no true front line. Whenever your team doesn't have a real tank line, if you find yourself falling behind in the game early on from some crazy chicken pit fights, all of a sudden everybody on the team gets exploded. Nobody's able to tank the damage coming out from FlyQuest, and it just goes from bad to worse. So C9 has got to prevent those early errors and make sure they stay on even footing unless they want their comp falling behind like that again.
Man, I've heard stories of the crazy chicken pit fights. Those get out of hand quickly, especially when they've got started by a deer coming in, just whacking everybody with the swaying stick all over the place. All right, Cloud9 need to focus. They're trying to make the Ezreal Yuumi work once again on the bottom side. We do have the double assassin matchup in the mid lane. Akali versus LeBlanc is always super fun to watch. Definitely will be a hot topic for getting Akali to the level 6. Basically, most picks into Akali are about trying to punish Akali before you can get to that level 6. That's where you get your real kill pressure from. A lot of Akali's early lane is focusing on minions and not trying to force things. I do know some mid laners though that look for kills pre-6 with Akali. I think that's a little bit above the bar to try and go for, but some of them can get real bloodthirsty.
Hey, some people just see the bar as the floor. You got to go above and beyond all the time. But we'll see if that's in Nisqy's playbook here this time around. After the way that first game went, Cloud9 might be looking to play it just a little bit slower, a little bit cleaner, particularly early. But then again, it is Cloud9. If there's one team that would just go full throttle the entire time, regardless of how bad the first game might have gone, I would look at Cloud9 to be the team.
Level 1 again?
To do it. Level 1. Are we going to get spicy? Ooh, FlyQuest says, yes, sir, we are. Santorin will walk up there.
Then they say, too hot, too spicy.
Yeah.
Spit it out,
They're going to the ramen shop. The waitress asks them, all right, 1 to 5, what's spicy? Oh, I can handle the 5. Yeah, no problem. So, you sure it's really spicy? And then they get it, and they eat like 2 bites. They're like, I should have done the 4.
Yeah, it's the classic move in, throw down your trinket ward, recall off, and switch over to the sweeper. You can see in inventory, Santorin, he will have sweeper ready for his first gank, plus you get your defensive ward usually on your red side, so you don't get invaded on red side. Blaber here, self-start on his own red, and even without defensive ward for himself, still won't be the victim of an invade. They did see Santorin's recall and placement of the ward in that pixel brush in the river, so they at least have a very good idea of double red starts for both junglers.
Right. Blaber's not going to have to worry about the same sort of thing befalling him back-to-back games here. On that Lee Sin, he also has plenty of early ganking power. I would love to see him try to get involved in these lanes nice and early. Solo versus Licorice here in the top side. You can see, you saw there right in the snapshot, Gangplank's super interactive, fun trading pattern where he walks up to you, presses Q every time it's off cooldown.
Yeah.
Pretty difficult to deal with for a lot of champions.
Yep, I just charge up the grasp on the minions and continue to harass your opponent. You can aggressively push the lane while getting harassment down, and then just chug through your corrupting potion early on to sustain your mana and keep it up. And then with all that pressure, you can try and get off an earlier recall while you've got your wave pushing. You can see Licorice waits till he gets really low with the mana. and then he's got so much sustain for it coming through with Biscuits as well as 2 corrupting charges left. Meanwhile, both junglers finishing up their red start clears just over to their blue quadrants. Should be trades on those scuttles. And we'll see if Santorin wants to make any sort of action on the bottom side. Again, Ezreal Yuumi is always one that you've got a target on. Plenty of defensive summoners for Zven and Vulcan, but they might be able to blow some here if they step out of line.
IgNar going for it. Flash into the play. Death sentence afterwards. Santorin, what are you doing, man?
Did he not see the cleanse? Zven gets off a taunt here.
He had to have seen the clip. What?
Yeah, I mean, he flashed in immediately. I only would think that he was not accounting for the cleanse because he's flashed in there to try and follow up on it with the Q. Yes, Zven is also perplexed. He's like, bruh, you see the cleanse here? I'm not sticking around. Okay, so here it is once again. It is a good play by IgNar. We're talking about trying to force some of these defensive summoners, but IgNar flashes and then Santorin goes for it. With the exhaust, he can't get in range of landing the stun. Zven's right out of there, able to get Arcane Shift, Flash, and all summoners are blown by the C9 bottom lane, but First Blood also acquired and in the right spot. Ezreal, you always want to fund the tier as quick as possible to get it stacking, and now he can do it.
That was very unfortunate for FlyQuest there at the beginning, just not respecting the summoner spells and essentially giving a bunch of free money over to Zven and Vulcan. And now Santorin finds himself in a similar position to what Blaber was in game number 1. Yeah, he didn't end up having his camp stolen away, but losing your double buffs early on, giving those double buffs away to an Ezreal?
Yeah, that's what their lane is saying. That's what Turtle and IgNar saying right now.
Bro.
They did commit hard to it, though. I mean, IgNar flashed in for it to try and force that, and Zven is still having fun spamming. He's definitely one that will take the opportunities when they're given to him to try and clap back here. And Cloud9 set up this time around with such huge benefits from a mistake from one of the best performing parts of FlyQuest previously. So again, what are the ramifications going to be, and how do they play into this team composition? Obviously, Ezreal now with full control of the lane, double buffs as you mentioned. It's probably one of the most early game transformations of a lane. If Ezreal, one of the best users of red and blue buff, gets those, he just fully takes over the lane. The Ezreal Yuumi starts to push. They don't have to worry even about the repeat ganks, even with their all 4 of their summoners down. So now you turn your eyes towards Blaber. What can he get done, given that Santorin kind of dropped the ball there, expending his flash and losing a lot of pressure?
Yeah, look at the itemization from Licorice, recognizing how easy this lane is, knowing how difficult it is for Shen to ever do anything against him. He has gone for the early cull here on his first back, making sure that he's getting even more money in his pockets on top of the already bonus gold that Gangplank gets by properly farming with the parlay. So Licorice will be a very rich man come the mid game here as this Gangplank continues snowballing that economy forwards. You can see because he knew Blaber was on the top half of the map, he felt comfortable pushing up, maintaining that lane control. Massive 2 waves of minions just colliding with the turret, and Licorice is getting out of town. 52-36 in terms of CS. Blaber taking the jungle. He is seen by a control ward, but nobody from FlyQuest is nearby to try to stop this. PowerOfEvil just had the back. He was completely out of mana. No way he could have contested anything about this. And with Vulcan and Nisqy also rotating over to help, Cloud9 will grab that first Drake here.
All right, and with Cloud Drake being the first ones, they know that that can't be the soul, so it's going to be with a higher value souls. IgNar.
Oh, we are not done yet. It's time for a fight as Blaber goes for the kick flash and then tries to escape, but Turtle is after him. Looks for a little bit more damage here with the auto attack. It's going to be traded away 1 for 1. IgNar looking to escape now as they're after him in full pursuit. It's Cloud9 going after the kills, but Nisqy is popped by PowerOfEvil as the reinforcements have arrived. It's a double kill for Santorin. The bear is there. He may have made a mistake in the bottom lane, but he just don't care. Look at the plays coming out here from FlyQuest, making sure they turn things around and come out on top in that fight.
Zven even putting up the white flag, asking for forgiveness here. Please, we didn't mean it. We went.
It was a prank, bro.
The blast code in. It was just a prank all along. Oh my goodness. All right, review time here, Flowers. This is a really good play here by IgNar. Hooks in onto the crab. They get the play and ignite onto Blaber immediately. Blaber then tries to get the kick in here onto the duo for Nisqy, but a Shen from the top side. They've got the ultimate. Then the blast going pops Zven deeper in here. He's unable to immediately get the kill onto IgNar, and PowerOfEvil just comes over, completely burst out Nisqy. Thankfully for Cloud9, Vulcan is able to finish it up, but with Licorice arriving, they're just trying to get out. And Zven, there's no escape for him, tries to surrender, but FlyQuest take no prisoners.
Nope. No prisoners today, sir. FlyQuest are way past that point, and now this team has themselves a 1-kill lead, however, still down in gold. And you can see it was actually the Volibear topping the damage charts in that last team fight. Nearly 1,500 damage coming out of the FlyQuest jungler. As Cloud9 move in to contest the Rift Herald. Remember in game number 1, it was FlyQuest stealing away from them. Blaber gonna be chain CC'd up against the wall. A beautiful play from IgNar to make sure he's not able to escape. Nisqy is jumping around and throwing those stars all over the place. He will not be able to find his mark, and instead killed for the second time this game. PowerOfEvil walks away with barely a health bar to be found. FlyQuest will grab themselves the Rift Herald, and they win another engagement.
Cloud9 continue to attack, and yet FlyQuest beating them at their own game. PowerOfEvil keeping Nisqy at arm's length there, kiting him with the LeBlanc. Chain lands, unable to finish up that last kill, and FlyQuest still with control of the map. Santorin now comes out for another play with IgNar.
IgNar once again, the man in charge of making the setup happen. But with the Ezreal escaping with the flash, this is a beautiful turnaround now from Cloud9. Licorice's ulti providing the opportunity for the counterplay there. Turtle walking forward, trying to block for IgNar, but now it's Zven able to take the kill and continue posturing aggressively against Turtle and Santorin, waving another white flag, ironically this time, as Cloud9 make the moves happen.
This game is action-packed, Flowers, and I love it. This time around, it's a fairly low damage combination of Volibear and Thresh, and with the Gangplank ultimate slow, they're able to kite it out. Here's a look back at how it all started, though. FlyQuest starting up that Rift Herald, objective force here on Cloud9, and once again, even though Nisqy on the bottom side is getting advantage on PowerOfEvil, you look at Blaber playing so aggressively, gets stun locked. Volibear into Ashe Arrow, into big AoE combination. They just annihilate Blaber next to the wall. Nisqy's doing his best this whole time, pressuring PowerOfEvil, tries to chase him through the whole team, but because FlyQuest focus down, chain CC Blaber, get the kill immediately at the start of the fight, PowerOfEvil then can kite back through his team, allowing them to deal with Nisqy and get that pesky Akali off him.
Yeah, when your best isn't good enough, we call that kind of a team fight a participation trophy. Nisqy not getting the damage that he needs to get just by the smallest margins, meaning the PowerOfEvil gets to walk away 2-0-2 here on this LeBlanc this game. He's ahead of Nisqy in terms of farm as well. PowerOfEvil popping off here. Still a dead even game in terms of gold, though. So although the past couple of fights have gone the way of FlyQuest, it's Cloud9 that are still doing well in this game with massive CS leads in the top lane and also respectable leads in both jungle and bottom. Oh my goodness, he got dumped.
Yeah, stomp here from Santorin. Once again, team game, Flowers. Nisqy goes for the 1v1 me bro style, and yet there's a Shen on the opponent team. No chance of killing PowerOfEvil, plus Santorin on the bottom half. Roams on through. So C9 with some more aggressive moves in kind of the weak area of the map for them. They've got their Ezreal Yuumi still pushing on top side, but Rift Herald usage here, true damage, finishes up the turret. No problems for PowerOfEvil and Santorin. Another victory for FlyQuest.
FlyQuest with that 1,000 gold lead thanks to knocking over the turret. Feeling good about that Rift Herald usage yet again. It makes me so happy. It warms my heart, Kobe, to see teams using Rift Herald correctly and not summoning it up too early and just be like, all right, we got 2 plates, run away. Now, we'll see if Cloud9 can make this dive happen onto solo here. Blaber, Zven, and Vulcan all hanging out as IgNar and PowerOfEvil go for the kill onto Nisqy underneath the tier 2 turret in the bottom lane. Chain procs. Nisqy is out of there. Man, FlyQuest is the bully squad today. Game number 1, they're bullying Blaber. Game number 2, they're bullying Nisqy. Solo with some beautiful play in the top side, trying to outplay the 3-man dive. He won't quite make it happen, but he really gave him a run for their money and made him work for it.
Yeah, and once he's cornered under the tower with 3 people, one of them being Yuumi as well, I think there's no escape for him, so the flash cooldown might want that one back. And this is another opportunity here where Cloud9 actually punished the weak side of FlyQuest after FlyQuest just made a good play on their strong side. They just don't stop here, Flowers. I mean, both teams fighting with the single person on their weak side. Just this dive after dive. FlyQuest keeping up the pace, but Cloud9 still, they get one back. You keep on pointing to, yes, Ezreal still charging up here. Gangplank still has yet to even get the Trinity Force, so they definitely do have these scaling options for themselves. It's just that we have so much combat early on.
Yeah, that's the thing that's most exciting about this series to me, is the fact that when you look at Cloud9, you always expect them to try to make things happen early. Like, nobody wants to play that just wait and scale type of League of Legends on this team. And FlyQuest seems to have answered the challenge wholeheartedly and enthusiastically. This team has no problem getting scrappy nice and early. It's a lot of fun to watch, and it's working out well for them here so far. 8-5, a 13-kill game in 14 minutes. Shows you exactly how scrappy this game is.
And Flowers, this time around, FlyQuest are the ones with the super powerful split push options. It's PowerOfEvil's LeBlanc combined with a Shen. I mean, Shen LeBlanc, so incredibly difficult to deal with, especially when you don't have really easy point-and-click stuns to deal with her when she tries to go offensive on you. It's going to be all about FlyQuest sending PowerOfEvil to a side lane, trying to split push here. You can cover him with the Stand United. You can buy time so easily because there's no real good lockdown on Cloud9's side. Cloud9 is mostly super heavy, skill-intensive, damage-focused champions. Not with crowd control, not with structure to set up. So when a LeBlanc gets a lead in a composition like this, it becomes really difficult to do with. Even though the gold for the teams overall is dead even, the places that the gold is in look pretty good for the LeBlanc-Shen combination. Of course, Cloud9 are still going to be looking at Zven on the Ezreal.
Okay, Rift Herald number 2. This is the fight. FlyQuest going in. Blaber getting himself away, but Santorin jumps right back into the fight. PowerOfEvil is taken very low. Solo looking to find the kill onto Blaber. Yuumi keeping him alive. PowerOfEvil still looking to get himself away as Turtle has to flash. Nisqy's going to be kited. PowerOfEvil coming back in looking for the damage, but now he may have put himself in the wrong spot. He did! Shut down for Zven, and Cloud9 take that fight. 750 gold to the Ezreal.
They're still looking at Zven, Flowers, and he's the one that gets the shutdown. Are you kidding me? Cloud9, extra money now in the pockets of Zven. He takes down the LeBlanc with the bounty. PoE sticking around for a while and a brush behind red buff, and C9 would be able to get the Rift Herald on top of it. What a big team fight for them. In game number 2, where they need to turn this series right back around, they don't want to have to force themselves into a reverse sweep scenario. So very big team fight there. Yeah, Blaber, I don't know if Yuumi is the best one to hold on to a Rift Herald Eyeball. Akali would be a good one because you can split push with it and she can activate it herself. But here's a look. They attempt the LeBlanc-Shen combination that we've been talking about. Immediately she gets exhausted and they just kite it out. Then Nisqy goes on the attack. After the Stand United is done, Nisqy sticks on PoE, chases him out of the fight, which allowed, Zven with this Yuumi just permanently kiting the Shen and Volibear. They whittle them down and just force them back out, slowly winning that health bar advantage. So kind of like how C9 played that in kiting initially, avoiding that very dangerous combination, and then being able to re-engage.
And honestly, IgNar's Flay was perfect.
Yeah.
To stop the second part of Nisqy's perfect execution and make sure Turtle stayed alive. Without that Flay, I think Turtle dies right there to the Akali ultimate because he was such low health. So IgNar showing up clutch here for this FlyQuest squad. We've got the 3rd Drake of the game alive. It is the first Infernal Drake working towards that Infernal Soul. Both teams currently have a single Drake under their belt so far, so nobody exactly threatening a soul anytime soon. as Nisqy gets into a 1v1 against Solo. And we've been talking about how Nisqy's having a rough game here, and yeah, he's not having the greatest performance, 1-4-2 on the Akali, but Solo is also very far behind here on this Shen. He's 114 CS at 17 minutes, almost 18 minutes. Not the best numbers in the world, barely above the junglers. So Solo will struggle to be tanky enough to do his job the way they want him to do it in these upcoming fights. But Cloud9 is nowhere near this Drake right now. It looks like FlyQuest should be able to secure this one free of charge. Two-shot barrage is coming through, but the smite is ready.
I will say that Nisqy, despite the numbers not looking great, he is putting out a lot of pressure. And I think that he is going to continue to be able to do so. Versus Shen, he's getting so much pressure, no extra global going to come in to save Solo, and Nisqy just pushes him under the turret, keeps up the side wave here for Cloud9. FlyQuest, though, they do get Infernal Drake for themselves, setting themselves up for the possibility of the longer openings. But I think that last fight where the big bounty does go over to Ezreal, and now Zven with the 2-item power spike, Muramana transformation, plus a bunch of cooldown reduction here in the Iceborne Gauntlet, plus Caulfield's Warhammer. I think it should not be kind of glossed over. Just the Caulfield's Warhammer, that in itself is one of the best parts of building into Death's Dance, because once you hit this sweet spot for cooldown reduction for Ezreal, he turns into that juggernaut mid-game that people are really fearful of, especially now he's got red buff burn on top of it.
Very, very scary Ezreal here with all that money that he has. The last time we looked at the gold values, he was about 2,000 up over his counterpart in WildTurtle. He's got nearly a 50 CS lead. He's 3-1-3, 100% kill participation. Yuumi also with the 100% kill participation. This is the Zven and Vulcan show, man. If Cloud9 win this game, it is these two making it happen. Nisqy pushing up in the side lane against PowerOfEvil here. Plenty of support nearby from both jungle and bot lane roles. As Nisqy loses about half his HP, has to be careful dealing with PowerOfEvil in those quick trades.
And we trailed this one back to the root of the problem, like we did in game number 1, where we go back to the early invades from FlyQuest, and that causing such a disruption in C9's attempt. This one we take back to the early dive on bottom side, where the Ezreal started the game off getting so much money, funding through his build, and how it has been kind of a dream scenario where Zven has gotten a lot of these key kills for Cloud9, and putting the money in the right spot makes them probably feel pretty good about running it back again with this combination in Champ Select. Here's the chase off on bottom side. I wonder if they can actually get in range of PowerOfEvil. Zven's on the way.
They're really going for it here, but Zven now popping the cleanse, keeping himself alive. Over the wall he goes. He will be kept safe. Yuumi ulti also used. Cloud9 making sure they bring everybody down here. Teleport shows up from Licorice. Remember, the Gangplank ulti had already been used there to try to facilitate the catch and re-engage, so that wouldn't be ready. All 4 summoner spells from the bot lane duo of Cloud9 was used there to make sure that Zven was able to get himself away. PowerOfEvil and Solo now looking for the kill onto Licorice. Santorin will show up to join the fight here momentarily. Taunt comes through, and Solo gets his first kill of the game.
And maybe Cloud9 send Ezreal Yuumi up to the top side to push in a wave, but honestly, there's not a lot back Cloud9 can get for the pickoff from FlyQuest. So even though FlyQuest used a lot of resources down on the bottom side, since C9 had just used everything to save Zven and Vulcan in that attempted pincer movement on the bottom half of the map, there's no real punishment for FlyQuest using everybody to go chase down Licorice and get that kill for themselves. Pretty much just gold in their pockets. Now PowerOfEvil very close to completing death cap for LeBlanc. He already has the big burst damage of Ludens, and is eyeing a lot of these juicy targets that don't have much magic resist for themselves. There are a couple of Merc Treads, which is one null magic mantle's worth of magic resist, plus the extra magic mantle that Zven is building for his Death's Dance. Other than that, a lot of these targets are pretty juicy.
Very easy pickings for LeBlanc that gets the proper angle here in the fight. Next, Drake spawning in 45 seconds. FlyQuest currently sitting on 2. They would love to continue stacking towards that soul, but it is still Cloud9 who have the 1,500 gold lead. Shouldn't be afraid to fight FlyQuest, meet them there in open ground. The ultimates are ready to go again, but it is Zven and Vulcan who have no summoner spells between them. That makes this super important Ezreal very, very vulnerable, especially with IgNar's flash ready to go. We know how much of a playmaker this guy is, and if FlyQuest is able to start this fight off by killing the Ezreal, the rest of Cloud9 will crumble.
So 2 key item completions are going to make that way more difficult now. Yuumi completes the cleanse here with the, what's it called? I'm blanking.
Mikhail's Crucible?
Mikhail on the Crucible. And
Yeah.
that plus the Death's Dance is going to provide the safety that their summer spells being down would have opened up. FlyQuest starting it out though. Shen ready.
All right, here we go. It's Santorin starting up the fight. This is what I was talking about. Zven is the guy you got to go after. Santorin up into the air looking for the damage. Blaber's going to be killed off, and Zven's into the picture now as well. Nisqy tries to make something happen on the back end of the fight, but FlyQuest have already got so much work done. Nisqy is gone. Loop Pinata makes it a 2-for-1, baby. Rack up all them deals. And FlyQuest, they'll take the fight. They don't care about the Drake. It's Baron is the call.
While I'm trying to come up with the name of the item, FlyQuest destroy Cloud9 in the fight, Flowers. Taking down Zven right off the bat, as you said, and Baron on the table for them. They should be able to clean it up. And with Baron-empowered recalls, I want to see if they go for the reset or they try and what they feel about this dragon. This dragon is not even setting themselves up, at the soul. So I think with just the reset, yes, Cloud9 will kind of get a consolation prize if they can try and burn it down quickly. You know, Zven and Blaber should be able to hop the wall, but Baron Empowered Recall will give FlyQuest a very quick reset, and they can run right back out to the possible fight.
The whole story of that fight is how the bottom laners had no summoner spells. That previous engagement in the bottom lane where they had to spend everything ended up being the difference maker. Dragon now secured by Blaber and Cloud9. FlyQuest have moved into position, but Santorin's going to be killed off immediately. IgNar now going to be in some trouble. WildTurtle having to get away, but Cloud9, they've found 2, and they're looking for even more. PowerOfEvil is down. The entire Baron has been wasted. FlyQuest just ran it down the jungle, and Cloud9 will absolutely decimate that fight.
This is the LCS, Flowers. Welcome to North America. The action just doesn't stop. 25 minutes in, FlyQuest get Baron, and they get wiped off the map.
There's 15 seconds until WildTurtle and IgNar are back alive. 5 seconds on Santorin. Cloud9 are continuing to push. They are not stopping yet. They're on to Nexus turret number 1. That one should fall here. Will they want to continue this push any further? Santorin is the only man alive. 2 more now respawn on the side of FlyQuest. Cloud9 have lost their jungler and have overcommitted to this here at the start. Santorin and Turtle and IgNar still chasing them down. PowerOfEvil now joining with that chase crew as well. TP showing up. It's Solo getting into the fight, wanting to land that pincer attack with the blast cone over the wall thanks to the Infernal Rift. Zven under pressure, but the cleanse is able to get him out of that trouble through the Mikhail's Crucible. Cloud9 continue to kite away, they continue to run back. Zven, he has all the Mystic shots in the world, he's got all the mana, he's ready to go. He jumps forward for even more damage onto their opponents. Over the wall comes PowerOfEvil with a little bit more damage himself. FlyQuest are still chasing after this. Arrow only lands onto Licorice, who has the oranges to get away. IgNar's now going to be killed off. Turtle 2. FlyQuest with some critical errors in these past 5 minutes. Solo will drop as well. Nisqy with Vulcan on top of him leads the charge. PowerOfEvil goes over the wall to find a kill on the Cloud9 mid laner. But now the remainder of Cloud9 will continue this push right back into the FlyQuest base. Licorice and Blaber keeping PowerOfEvil away, while Zven, Vulcan push up that bottom lane and make sure that they're going after that remaining Nexus turret.
They're trying to end, Flowers. They're trying to end.
Trying to get back into the base, but he can't do anything. Licorice with the TP to join up with Zven and Vulcan, and Cloud9 turn this game around after FlyQuest take a Baron and tie this series up 1-1.
This game just running on pure adrenaline. Fight after fight, Cloud9 then turn around the chase from FlyQuest to finish the game, end the Nexus here, game number 2, and this series tying up at 1-1 is exactly what I wanted. This is getting extremely spicy.
If you're FlyQuest right now, they have got to be kicking themselves about going towards that Drake. It is exactly what you said. It wasn't Soul. It wasn't even going to put Cloud9 at Soul Point. That thing was nothing more than a big red lizard you might see at the pet store. It did not matter for anything. But it facilitated the throw that lost FlyQuest the game after getting the bear, and I will compliment Cloud9 on being able to go for that and having that killer instinct to just go in and win right there. But that was a big error from FlyQuest there towards the end of the game. And with that game wrapped up and our series all tied, we're going to step away here for a moment. But once we get back, the State Farm Analyst Desk is ready to break down the game.
Your Honda MVP!
Dreams aren't achieved overnight. They take passion.
It's Mr. World, right?
Dedication. And even then, there are no guarantees. But for the LCS, that's the power of dreams.
Too bad!
It means you never give up. It means you always play again. Honda, proud automotive partner of the LCS.
Welcome back to the LCS Dome presented by State Farm. It's game on in this series. 1-1 now stands the series score as C9 finds a way to strike back with a wild finish to this game 2 in our best of 5 series today. Gents, we almost got That salty run back, Mark, you said you could smell the sea salt in the air, and it was close, but a few differences for Cloud9 this time around.
Yeah, they started the same way with small adaptations with the Lilia ban, but then from there it continued to branch out differently. They actually took the Gangplank earlier on this time, so it couldn't get banned out, and it just led to the butterfly effect of a totally different draft. So not really a salty run back at all outside the Ezreal priority, which actually ended up looking okay this game with Zven kind of hard carrying a lot of the mid game.
I really like the Akali pick here out of Nisqy. The early game was a bit rough, but the pick itself is very powerful right now. It's getting a lot of bans from a lot of players, whether it's Bjergsen or even top laners that are picking it up. So I think that putting Nisqy on this champion gives him the ability to make plays without relying on his team, which seems to be much more important for Cloud9 right now, because if they can get that state of chaos in the game, then it seems like FlyQuest has a much harder time figuring out how to fight Cloud9.
Coming into the day, Nisqy was 2-0 on that Akali pick in his LCS career with a 14.0 KDA. Now, of course, the game didn't start out in the prettiest of ways for Cloud9. We typically attribute those kind of chaotic early game objective skirmishes, as you mentioned, Crumbs, to go in the favor of Cloud9. That's not actually the way the game played out here in that pre-10-minute phase of the game.
Yeah, it was an early game that, believe it or not, was still really FlyQuest flavor, despite Santorin dying. And it was because Blaber makes a play that he doesn't think whether he should make it or not, but rather if he can, and he can definitely kick flash, so he lands that double, but then it lets FlyQuest collapse because you have the Shen that can just help everybody out with his shield, make it to the fight, and that's where the snowball begins for LeBlanc, who picked up a ton of gold off of that.
And it's something that's concerning for C9 fans, that they are getting out skirmished so hard early on, even with that initial mistake from Santorin, like you're saying. They're around these objectives, they're kind of getting forced, and then they're just getting outplayed. IgNar had a great game. A lot of people had great games, even though it was a loss for FlyQuest. A lot of the mistakes came later on. Early on, some of the goldie was in favor of C9 because of CS advantages and stuff, but the kills and skirmishes are almost always going in favor of FlyQuest.
IgNar's Thresh felt on point in this game, even in the loss. You saw the slow-mo on the Flay there. He has another beautiful Flay later in the game to save Turtle from that second cast R of the Akali. But probably I want to come to you, because a lot of the focus in this game through the mid-game became around the two mid laners. It was PowerOfEvil who was set up very well with some early kills on the LeBlanc. Nisqy, on the other hand, with the Akali also trying to match in that sense.
Yeah, PowerOfEvil's been having a monster series so far. Last game was the Azir that he was popping off. And this game, once they took the fourth pick Shen, I was already kind of smelling that LeBlanc pick, and I was pretty excited that he was able to pull it off in this game. But no, he's been playing really, really well, and actually baiting Nisqy in weird spots here. Because usually when we see this kind of mid laners go to side lane, we always think Nisqy's going to come out on top when we talk about side lane play. And when we talk about mid lane play, we're like, maybe PoE's better on these control mages. But the fact that when we're going into side lane, PoE's bringing his team to him. If you notice, they're getting vision when PoE pushes and Santorin's behind him. This time, IgNar's behind him to help him. So I really do like the way PoE's been playing side lane and bringing his team to him and kind of allowing him to play these, assassin matchups with an advantage.
It's cool to see that they picked this up from their loss against Evil Geniuses as well, the LeBlanc Shen. It's not a new combo, but the last time they faced it, they lost against it, and just taking it for themselves and almost winning, I guess. I mean, it was a close game, but it looked promising to see that they could pull off the Shen, LeBlanc, in the side lanes.
I want to roll ahead to the two kind of succeeding fights here at the end of the game. The first goes in favor of FlyQuest, but as we know, you can never count Cloud9 out of a game when it comes to skirmishing. Let's watch it play through.
I thought this was game over. This is a great team fight out of FlyQuest, a great follow-up, all getting onto people, getting this AoE down. They actually don't have a better team fight comp, in my opinion, compared to FlyQuest, because C9, who have the GP, and the Yuumi and the Ezreal, they can kind of kite back forever. So you need to explosively win these in the early game. And once they win this and you get Baron, you think, game over, they have a 1-3-1 comp in Baron. This is going to be easy peasy to just roll through the turrets.
Yeah, so this was really good adaptation. Santorin knew that Ezreal's cleanse was on a 10-second cooldown, so the fact that, like Mark said, he makes this explosive teamfight was really exciting. But after they get that teamfight, they get Baron, and then they force this fight again, where it's you have Baron buff, we talk about FlyQuest being this good macro team. Like, this is one of the few macro mistakes that I thought FlyQuest made this game, where they're taking a fight instead of just using the Baron buff to empower their minions.
Yeah, that was definitely, I mean, like, this is something I want to talk a lot about because people are saying, oh, FlyQuest just threw, FlyQuest just threw. And it's true. What they did with the Baron buff to instantly run back to a Drake that doesn't matter and hard force it is dumb. It's absolutely dumb. And C9 punished them hard. What C9 did from there in terms of not backing off after getting the inhibitor turret and going to the Nexus turret and continuing to threaten to end the game, not many teams are that aggressive, and C9 was, and it baited FlyQuest into an extended chase sequence because FlyQuest goes, they overextended, let's hard punish them for that, and C9 continued to mechanically out-execute FlyQuest during that entire chase down sequence with the GP and Ezreal, like we were saying, and then they are able to win the game off of it. That's the part that I'm saying C9 is different than other teams and what made them so good. Their ability to take your one mistake and push you to the limit from it. Most teams get that inhibitor and back off and go, great, we're back in the game. C9 goes, I think we can end the game here, and they force that.
Yeah, again, an explosive finish to a game number 2, which is going to make FlyQuest question their approach because, as we mentioned, all signs pointed to that 2-0 and being one game away from Worlds. But now you're tied with side select yourself. Going into game 3, as you can see on your screens, FlyQuest has selected blue sign, so we will get our first swap of the series. I'm going to come back to you, Crumbs, since you were the one who did all the VOD review. How has the data changed with these 2 games being added into the pool?
It has changed a tiny bit with the addition of Lilia coming into the fray, as it seems like C9 will probably keep this ban for the rest of the series. But they'll also, taking red side, be banning the Caitlyn away, so that frees up FlyQuest to go for more creative first picks if they can get away with the Graves. I think C9 is going to ban Kate, Lilia, and Graves and have FlyQuest first pick the Ashe, and we're going to see kind of a little bit of another run back there because I don't think they care much about the Ashe and the Thresh and the bottom lanes, they're very happy to take the Ezreal and Yuumi.
Probably, how do you interact with this? Because we had all this conversation around bot lane agency, and now it's sounding like we may just get locked in to an Ashe on one side, Ezreal, Yuumi on the other for the duration of the series unless someone decides to blink first.
Yeah, I mean, I actually liked FlyQuest on red side. So on blue side, I feel like they don't have much draft advantage. I mean, C9's not taking the Ezreal, so I don't know if FlyQuest going to first pick the Ezreal. That'd be really goofy. I think that kind of throws off their own game plan. And then the fact that, like, now they're losing the counter pick support. So I know C9's been just blinding the Yuumi, but the fact that now FlyQuest might not be able to get counter pick support or counter pick soul lanes, I actually would have liked FlyQuest to choose red side and continue that draft because there's not great first picks going out right now, and a lot of it does seem like the counter pick meta for FlyQuest's support and mid laner.
Mark, your final thoughts before we head to break?
Not many. I'm excited to see what they do on blue side because I agree with the points that they already said, about
empty brain Mark over here.
The first pick doesn't seem super important right now. They have different priorities. So, like, what are you first picking away? It seems a lot more about counter pick, which is why the red side thing interested me.
Mark just wants good, exciting, action-packed League of Legends.
Me like fighting. Go fight
that's
more.
What this series
boom,
has
boom.
delivered
Explosion
to us so
death.
far. So let's get some more of it in Game 3. Game 3 of FlyQuest versus Cloud9 is coming up after this short break.